Law 25. Recreate yourself. You are not born with a fixed identity. Power lies in the ability to shape who you are and who others believe you are. Reinvention allows you to escape your past, rewrite the narrative, and control how the world sees you. Never accept the roles others assign to you. Instead, become the author of your own image. David Bowie was not just a musician, he was a master of reinvention. From Ziggy Stardust to the Thin White Duke, he continually transformed his image, staying relevant across decades and generations. The lesson? Reinvention is not betrayal of your past, it's evolution. In your career or personal life, when the old version of you no longer serves, create a new one and make it unforgettable. Law 26. Keep your hands clean. Power often requires hard choices, but to maintain your influence and reputation, you must appear above the fray. Let others do the dirty work while you stay clean. When unpopular decisions must be made, distance yourself from the mess. This isn't about cowardice, it's about optics. Power is perception, and stains are remembered longer than strategies. In ancient Rome, Emperor Augustus preserved his image as a peaceful leader by allowing his generals and advisors to carry out purges and conquests in his name. He reaped the rewards without bearing the blame. In modern workplaces, executives often delegate layoffs or harsh decisions to HR or middle management, keeping their image intact. Stay powerful, but stay spotless. Law 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. People crave meaning. They want to believe in ideas, movements, leaders. If you can tap into this emotional need, you gain followers who are not just loyal, but devoted. Use symbols, rituals, and bold promises. Create an aura of certainty. The more mysterious and confident your vision, the more people will follow, even blindly. Steve Jobs wasn't just a CEO, he was a modern-day cult figure. His product launches were like religious ceremonies, his design philosophy gospel to millions. People didn't just buy Apple products, they believed in them. He turned technology into a movement. The secret: he gave people something bigger than themselves to be part of. Power grows when belief is deep. Law 28. Enter action with boldness. If you hesitate, others sense it, and they will doubt you. Inaction creates space for rivals, but boldness inspires confidence. Even when you're unsure, act with force. Boldness doesn't mean recklessness, it means decisiveness. The world respects those who move with certainty, even if they make mistakes. When Alexander the Great crossed into Persia with a small army, his enemies laughed. But his bold campaign, speed and daring caught them off guard, and he conquered a massive empire. Boldness turned audacity into success. In business too, startups like Airbnb and Tesla launched bold visions that seemed irrational at first, but their confidence disrupted entire industries. Power rewards the daring. Law 29. Plan all the way to the end. Short-term victories are meaningless if they lead to long-term failure. The powerful think beyond the moment. They visualize the final outcome and plan every step backwards. Anticipate the obstacles. Imagine how your actions will ripple. If you don't plan to the end, you leave your future to chance. And chance is a dangerous ruler. Julius Caesar didn't just cross the Rubicon on impulse. He had already planned the full course of his campaign. Each move had a purpose, from propaganda to alliances. His end goal? Absolute control of Rome. And he nearly achieved it. Today, effective CEOs and politicians map out 5-year strategies, while others chase quarterly wins. Power favors the strategist, not the opportunist. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Struggle is human, but power is godlike. When you reveal how hard you worked, you diminish the magic. The truly powerful hide their toil and present results as if they came naturally. This creates awe, and awe creates authority. Mastery should look like ease, even when it's anything but. In the court of Louis XIV, courtiers spent hours preparing their appearance, memorizing protocol, and perfecting their etiquette. But they made it look effortless. Why? Because the Sun King admired grace, and to gain favor, one had to appear naturally brilliant. Likewise, modern performers and athletes train for years, but on stage or on the field, they make it look easy. That illusion is part of their power. Law 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards. You deal. Freedom is an illusion when choices are manipulated. The clever do not force decisions, they shape them. By offering people a set of limited options, all of which benefit you, you maintain control while giving the illusion of power. When people believe they're in charge, they're easier to guide. Henry Kissinger, the famed diplomat, often presented foreign leaders with two options, one extreme and unacceptable, and another that was his true objective. The target, thinking they had agency, always chose the reasonable one, playing straight into his hands. In business, a manager may offer two job roles, both aligning with their goals. People feel empowered without realizing the game was rigged from the start. Law 32. Play to people's fantasies. Reality is harsh. People want escape, dreams, illusions. The powerful understand this and offer visions over truth, hope over clarity. Don't feed people cold facts. Feed their fantasies about success, romance, safety, meaning. The one who stirs imagination holds the keys to loyalty and attention. P.T. Barnum, the master showman, built an empire not on reality but illusion. His museums and acts were often hoaxes, but the public loved it. Why? Because he gave them wonder. Similarly, politicians craft hopeful slogans rather than policy details. The fantasy sells. Speak to people's dreams, and you'll never lack followers. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. Everyone has a weakness, an insecurity, a need, a pressure point. Power comes from locating it. It might be a desire for love, status, revenge, or money. Once you find it, you gain leverage. The key is patience, observation, and subtlety. Never underestimate what someone will do to protect or pursue their deepest need. During World War II, Allied intelligence used captured German soldiers' personal fears and dreams to extract information. A man desperate to see his family might talk if he believed cooperation would help. In everyday life, a salesperson might identify a client's hunger for prestige and offer them exclusivity instead of a discount. Influence comes from touching what others protect. Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. How you carry yourself determines how others treat you. If you present yourself as worthy of respect, people are more likely to give it. This isn't about arrogance, it's about presence. Act with confidence, set boundaries, and radiate dignity. Those who beg, apologize, or seek approval rarely rise to power. Catherine the Great, before becoming Empress of Russia, was a minor German princess. But she dressed, spoke, and governed herself like royalty from the start. When the throne became available, people already saw her as its rightful occupant. Even now, those who behave with quiet authority, who refuse to be treated as less, rise faster in business and society. Carry yourself like someone destined to lead. Law 35. Master the art of timing. Power often lies not in action, but in when you act. Rush too quickly, and you miss key developments. Wait too long, and the moment passes. The skilled player reads the currents, knowing when to pause, when to strike, and when to retreat. Time is a weapon. Use it with precision. Abraham Lincoln waited to issue the Emancipation Proclamation until after a key Union victory. Had he done it earlier, it may have seemed desperate or political, but by timing it correctly, he gained both moral authority and political strength. Likewise, in negotiations, silence at the right moment can unnerve your opponent. Don't be ruled by impulse. Learn to wait and win. Law 36. Disdain. Things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. Desire reveals weakness. When you obsess over what you cannot have, you hand power to your enemy. Instead, if you can't gain something, act as though it holds no value. Ignoring it removes its power over you and often frustrates those who try to control you with it. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius taught this principle centuries ago. What we ignore, we overcome. In politics, when leaders are denied an alliance or endorsement, the wise ones pivot and act as if it was never needed, robbing their rivals of satisfaction. In relationships, nothing is more disarming than indifference. What you disdain, you deny power. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. Visual drama has power. People are drawn to symbols, rituals, and grand gestures. A powerful image speaks louder than words and sticks longer in memory. If you want attention, don't just speak, perform. If you want loyalty, don't just lead, enchant. In a noisy world, spectacle cuts through the static. When Napoleon crowned himself emperor in 1804, he didn't wait for the Pope to place the crown on his head. He took it and did it himself. It was a staged moment of supreme self-declaration. I rule by my own hand. The spectacle said everything. In modern branding, Apple's product launches are meticulously choreographed theater. The lesson? People may forget your words, but never your show. Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. Rebellion in thought is safe. Rebellion in behavior is dangerous. To maintain power or to rise, you must blend in. Express your true beliefs only to those you trust. Appear conventional, even if you are radical within. Society punishes those who visibly break the mold. Galileo paid a heavy price for publicly supporting heliocentrism in a world ruled by the church. His science was sound, but his timing was fatal. He was forced to recant. Others, like Copernicus, wrote cautiously and published late. The wise appear ordinary while planting extraordinary ideas. In offices, too, those who challenge the norm too loudly often get isolated. Think freely, but know when to play along. Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish. Anger makes people emotional, and emotion makes them easy to manipulate. If you can keep your cool while others rage, you gain the upper hand. Stir the pot, provoke a reaction, and watch your enemies overreach. Chaos reveals the cracks in control. Remain calm, and control deepens. During World War II, Winston Churchill often provoked Hitler with calculated defiance. Hitler, enraged, made rash decisions, including diverting troops from key battles. Churchill's control of emotion became a strategic advantage. On a smaller scale, if you frustrate a rival in a meeting, get them flustered, they might say something careless. Never get swept up. Stir others, but stay still yourself. Law 40. Despise the free lunch. What costs nothing is worth nothing. Free things often carry hidden obligations, strings, or traps. Pay your way, earn what you take. This shows self-respect and builds independence. Dependence is the enemy of power, and nothing creates it faster than free favors. In ancient China, ministers who accepted lavish gifts from nobles often found themselves compromised, unable to refuse later requests. Their power eroded silently. Today, accepting too many free perks, whether from a client, investor, or politician, can create quiet obligations. The powerful protect their autonomy, pay full price when needed, and stay free. Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. Taking over after a legend is dangerous. The comparison is inevitable and often unflattering. Instead of trying to match your predecessor, forge your own identity. Rewrite the script. Define yourself by contrast, not imitation. After Steve Jobs, Tim Cook didn't try to be Jobs 2.0. He focused on supply chains, global expansion, and subtle innovation. He built his own Apple, one less magical perhaps, but more profitable. Similarly, Alexander the Great didn't try to be another Philip. He carved a new legacy that eclipsed his father's. When following greatness, do not echo, evolve. Law 42. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. Power often concentrates around a single figure, a leader, influencer, or instigator. Remove that person and their followers fall into disarray. If there's someone behind resistance, chaos, or rivalry, don't waste time arguing with the group. Cut off the head and the body collapses. When the FBI took down organized crime in the US, they didn't go after low-level members. They targeted bosses, like Al Capone. With the leadership dismantled, entire syndicates crumbled. In social circles or workplaces, removing a toxic influencer through reassignment or confrontation can restore peace far faster than addressing symptoms. Find the shepherd, then strike. Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others. Power that is imposed breeds resistance, but power that wins hearts lasts. Influence is most enduring when people want to follow you, not when they feel they must. Appeal to their emotions, values, and desires. Understand what drives them and give it voice. Win minds with logic, but win hearts with empathy. When Nelson Mandela emerged from prison, he didn't seek revenge. He sought reconciliation. He spoke to the hearts of both black South Africans and white Afrikaners. By doing so, he transformed enemies into allies. In business, leaders who connect emotionally with employees build loyalty beyond salaries. Rule minds with reason, but rule hearts with connection. Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. Few things are more unsettling than a mirror. When you mimic your opponent, reflecting their behavior, tone, or tactics, they lose certainty. It's disarming, it confuses, it frustrates. Used correctly, the mirror becomes a weapon, throwing people off balance without saying a word. During negotiations, FBI agents are trained to mirror suspects, repeating their words calmly, reflecting posture. It builds rapport or creates discomfort, depending on intent. In conflict, if someone uses sarcasm or aggression, calmly imitating them can make them self-conscious and lose momentum. The mirror exposes, distorts, and disarms. Law 45. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. People fear sudden change. They say they want progress, but only in familiar doses. Too much reform, too fast, creates chaos and backlash. True power understands the rhythm of change, slow, strategic, and framed in continuity. When Deng Xiaoping began reforming China's economy in the 1980s, he did it under the slogan, "Socialism with Chinese characteristics." He introduced capitalist elements, but under a socialist banner. The result? Radical change without rebellion. In leadership, small, consistent shifts are often more effective than sweeping revolutions. Introduce reform like seasoning, never all at once. Law 46. Never appear too perfect. Perfection invites envy. Flawlessness can isolate you, turn admiration into resentment. To maintain power, reveal occasional faults. Be excellent, but human. Let others see struggle or vulnerability, just enough to make your success relatable rather than unreachable. John F. Kennedy made self-deprecating jokes in public, especially about his wealth and privilege. This softened his image and won him broader appeal. On the other hand, Napoleon, who sought to appear invincible, became a target of growing resentment until his fall. A crack in the armor can protect more than the armor itself. Law 47. Do not go past the mark you aimed for in victory. Learn when to stop. Success can intoxicate. The moment you exceed your goal out of pride or greed, you invite downfall. When the victory is won, stop, consolidate, reflect, overreach, and the triumph becomes your trap. After defeating the Persians, Alexander the Great marched further east, chasing endless conquest. His troops eventually mutinied, his empire frayed. He died young, far from home. In business or politics, winners who don't know when to quit often fall just after their peak. Know your mark, hit it, then stop. Law 48. Assume formlessness. Rigidity is death. The world is fluid, changing alliances, shifting markets, evolving norms. To survive, you must be like water, adaptable, shapeless, formless. Lock yourself into one identity, one strategy, or one plan, and you become predictable and vulnerable. Power lasts only through constant evolution. Bruce Lee once said, "Be water, my friend." He meant it literally and philosophically. In battle, business, or life, those who adapt survive. IBM went from hardware to services, Netflix from DVDs to streaming. Nations and individuals who cling to the past perish with it. The most powerful force, the one that never stays the same.